I had somebody ask me what I thought was actually a pretty strange question the other day. He asked me if I've ever lost an argument, or do I ever lose an argument? And, I haven't really thought about it for a long time, but the truth is, I actually don't lose a lot of arguments. Now, I'd like to have some bravado here that says, I don't lose arguments because I don't get paid to lose arguments, or some stupid thing like that. But the truth is, there's a reason why I don't lose arguments, and it all comes from something that happened a long time ago. It was the very first deal that I was doing, really the first big global deal I was doing by myself. And I wasn't doing it by myself by design. Okay, it wasn't like I'd earned somebody's trust and I was doing this deal. I was doing it because the partner kept on going on vacation. He kept on assigning me to people who kept on getting sick. So I found myself one night at a negotiating table, negotiating, a pretty large deal by myself. And the partner who was sick told me, he said, if anything comes up, you call me and I'll just help you through it. So it came time to negotiate hourly rates for programmers. So we took a break, got on the phone with the partner in the other room, said, here's what's happening. These guys are looking for $90 an hour. We think that the fair price is $70 an hour. And I don't know how to really argue that because we didn't do any market comparisons. So he says to me, here's what you do. You go in the other room, you tell them, look, you're paying your programmers $45,000 a year. You're giving them another $5,000 to $10,000 in benefits, and your overhead is this. He said, there is no way that those kinds of numbers justify more than $70 an hour. And if you're charging more than $70 an hour, you're just trying to rip us off. He says, you go in there and you say that exactly like that. So I was, I didn't know what I was doing. I dutifully walk in the other room. I sit down, look at the other guy in the eye, and I say, look, you're charging your guys out at $45,000 a year. And you're getting, $10,000 in benefits, and you have your overhead. There's no way that comes to more than $70 an hour. And if you're charging us more than $70 an hour, you're ripping us off. So that went over really, really well, right? The guy looks at me and he says, son, and yeah, he actually called me son. He says, son, I've been in this business longer than you've been alive. He says, don't even pretend to ever tell me how I run my business. And by the way, if you ever tell me that I'm ripping you off again, the deal's over. I'm not ripping you off, and I don't need to do business with people who think I am. I'm like, all right. So I take a break, go back in the other room, call the partner on the phone. I say, look, this is what happened. Okay, I said what you told me to say, and he basically told me to go to hell. You know what the partner said to me? He says, well, he said, you gave it a shot. I'm like, yeah. He says, well, no, you gave it a shot. And I'm like, yeah. He says, no, you gave it a shot. Okay, you gave it a shot. It didn't work. Now go back in there and just finish up the negotiation. I'm like, are you kidding me? I gave it a shot. You don't have any words of wisdom for me? You're not going to tell me how to win this? He says, no, you gave it a shot and it didn't work. Okay, so I learned something, right? One thing I learned is that it's your face that's going to get punched, right? It's not somebody who's telling you what to do. You're the one who's sitting there at the negotiating table. So if you don't want your face to get punched, don't do this. What did I do wrong? I made an argument that I couldn't possibly back up. And just the fact that somebody told me to do that is irrelevant. I should have never done that. The other thing I did was I accused somebody of doing something, and I had no basis for that accusation. So it left me with nothing. So I don't lose a lot of arguments. But one of the reasons I don't lose a lot of arguments is because I don't do this. Right? I'm not going to make an argument that I don't understand. I'm not going to make an argument that I can't independently verify. And quite frankly, I'm not really going to make an argument at all. Because if you're doing this right, you don't argue. You problem solve. If you've reached alignment on something, any of these kinds of discussions should be around how you get you to where you're trying to go. If you're just arguing for the sake of arguing, you've already lost. And if you beat the other guy, what have you done? You're trying to establish a relationship with somebody that you just beat in a fight. That just doesn't make a lot of sense. And that's why I don't lose a lot of arguments. Because in all fairness, I just don't have a lot of arguments.